For the lightning, let's go to our plus here. We'll go to our default tile set again. And on the lightning, you have a couple of pieces that make it up. There's the thumbnail. We have a lightning strike. Notice the direction. So if you're going to do anything with a lightning bolt for the image, you want to make sure you're going left to right, horizontally across. Okay. The lightning bolt. This is going to be the spot where it actually is starting. So if you want to have a starting point, when you place it in the scene and you want to have a, if it's supposed to be capped with something where it starts from, then you can have a piece here. If you don't have a piece, that's fine, but it's just simply there is an option for where it goes. Alright, so the lightning bolt thumbnail image right here, if you click on it, go down to our tile types and choose lightning. Description, let's go ahead and just type that in. So we have lightning bolt, and we'll just say a bolt of lightning. General settings, I'm going to say the receive light. We're not going to actually use it for this part of it. It actually has a good glow to it when you set it up, so it kind of creates its own kind of cool lighting effect to it. Alright, offset for the image, just based on where you want it. If it's going to be as scenic, like scenery in the background, then we could put it behind. I'll put it at -3 right there. Animations are fine there. We'll go to thumbnail. And close general settings. Collider, we'll go ahead and turn the collider off for this one. It's just going to be background, so it's not going to be intended to jump on. However, if that top piece like we were looking at was for something, then it could be something that you want to have like a little platform the player jumps onto. Alright, tile animations. So the tile animation side, let's set that up. On the start, we could say lightning bolt idle. And we'll actually just use the same thing for all 3 states. We could use them across the board for all the states if we wanted. However, again, if you're using the trigger settings, then you could do a very different, unique look for the cap piece on it. Alright, and same thing for audio, placing it in there. You could say that you want to enable the trigger setting, that if you wanted to actually change the animation, then you can enable this part. And then, of course, that would be based on however big the trigger box was. Maybe it was the full size of the lightning bolt, so that it created maybe, just as a for instance, if you made this one larger than the image, you could have it so when the player started to walk up to it, the animation would play a glowing red dot, letting you know something was about to happen, and a lightning bolt happened from it. So a lot of different ways you could approach it when it comes to the art side and using it with the trigger settings part. Okay, so we've got our basic animation set up. We'll scroll down to the bottom here. And for the lightning settings, the setup for it is saying that do you want it to start when the scene starts up and just start to have lightning bolts. You don't have to. You could actually have it triggered after. The segment distance, vertically, horizontally, this is going to be geometry. So if this was like four pieces of geometry right here, it would actually be how many are going across left and right and how many up and down. So we're saying that vertically we're going to have at least 10 segments being up and down so that you have a few more angles that it can go around with. Zigzag, if this was set to 0, then you would actually see a straight line going up and down when it strikes. The further out you go with this one, the more of a higher number you go, then you're going to get more of a jaggedy line happening with it. The cooldown time is going to be how long before another strike occurs, so min-max on this one. The time per strike, so how long do you actually get on the strike? We're saying it's 1/10 of a second for it. If you want it to last longer, you could actually set this to say half a second, 1 full second, and then be able to actually see it striking and staying for a while. Now the default target height, this is set to -20. That means that when I put it in the scene, by default, wherever I place it, 2 tiles down is where the lightning bolt is going to strike. This you can adjust it whichever direction in terms of vertical, up and down. But there's also a brush, and you can put the brush on anything or anywhere, and it'll actually strike that distance instead of the default. Alright, so the lightning bolt, the lightning bolt that we have, this is going to be saying that the bolt width, the start and the end. So how big is it to start? Does it go down to a small point? And this is all based on the image, the little horizontal image that looks like the lightning bolt we had. That's going to be using it along with the line rendering system for it. In front or behind for the bolt, based on, so you have the actual end piece, and then you have this one being in front or behind it. We're going to say it's behind, so we'll say -4. Does the bolt have collision? Yes or no? And that's just whether or not you want to have a line that shows up so the player couldn't get through it while it was on. Alright, bolts per target. This is just going to say how many bolts do you want to actually show up. We're just saying 1, but you could actually set this if you wanted to say min-max range, you want 1 to 6. Then we could have 1 to 6 bolts striking down at a target. This is just starting up a pool amount, meaning that it's going to create 3 just in case you need them. Alright, and the targets, you'll have the brush again. The brush in the settings for it, you can target as many objects as you want, and then those could actually go out checking for those. Lightning color, so if you want to add the color, currently it's white, so if you want to add a little bit of a color to it, maybe you want it to be a maybe you want it to be more of a bluish tint to it, then we'll pull these down and create more of a blue fill to it. Whichever color you do choose, just remember if it's the same as the background, you might not see it as clearly, so be sure that you actually have a color that you're going to be able to see clearly with it. So how about we do, actually let's do, we'll do, put more yellow at the very end of it here. There we go. So the lightning distance, enable distance to the bolt. Alright, so if this is set for here, we're saying the distance is actually 20 only, meaning that if you're not within 20, it's not going to use it. If you disable it, you're saying that it can go as far as you want it to go. And then we have our lightning animation bolt, so we know we had our lightning strike right there, we'll use that. And then audio, if you have an audio clip that you want to use for lightning strike, then you can place it in there. Alright, so that'll set up our lightning pieces. And then again, this could even be connected to a player. It could be connected to objects that move inside the scene, so it looks like the bolt is shooting at random places or different places all the time. It can give quite a bit of dramatic effect inside the scene, whether it was actually being used as part of the game or just being used as part of the background.